Imagine this. You spend decades helping a close friend. You move into their neighborhood, help build their house, give their family jobs, and boost their economy. You stand by them through thick and thin. Then one day, out of nowhere, they turn their back on you. They shut the door in your face, not just with words, but with actions that sting like betrayal. That's not fiction. That's exactly what happened between the United States and Japan. Two powerful allies, once deeply connected, now quietly drifting apart, and the world is starting to feel the consequences. But this isn't just about politics or trade deals. This is a story of broken trust, of silent retaliation, of how one cold decision is reshaping the global auto industry, and why everything you thought you knew about international friendship is being rewritten. Stay with us, because this is the hidden story behind one of the biggest economic shakeups of our time. For decades, Japanese car makers like Toyota, Honda, and Nissan weren't just part of the US auto industry. They were woven into it. These weren't just companies shipping cars across the Pacific. They came to America. They built factories, hired local workers, and rooted themselves in communities across the country. By 2024, nearly 1 out of every 3 cars on American roads carried a Japanese badge. Toyota ranked first, Honda, third, Nissan, sixth. But here's what most people didn't realize. These cars weren't coming from Tokyo or Yokohama. They were being built in Tennessee, in Ohio, in Ontario, and even Baja California, right here in North America. In 2023 alone, Japanese automakers built over 3.2 million vehicles inside the United States. They had 29 factories, 34 research centers, and supported more than 2 million American jobs, from engineers to factory workers to mechanics in your local garage. They followed the rules. They invested heavily. They became a pillar of the American auto economy. And then, everything changed. Out of nowhere, President Donald Trump made a stunning announcement: a 25% tariff on imported cars. The reason? He called it economic self-defense, a way to protect American jobs and bring manufacturing back home. But there was one big problem. These Japanese-built cars were already made in America. The irony couldn't be clearer. The cars facing new US tariffs weren't cheap imports from China. They were Japanese brand vehicles, built in North America, made by American hands, under American trade laws, NAFTA, and its modern version, the USMCA. These weren't enemies being punished. These were allies. For Japanese automakers, it made no sense. They had invested billions in US cities. Their factories had become part of the American fabric. Families relied on them. Entire communities thrived because of them. So why were they suddenly being treated like a threat? Japan's prime minister at the time, Shigeru Ishiba, tried the diplomatic route. He reached out to Washington, tried to reason, but he quickly realized something chilling. America wasn't looking for a conversation. It had changed its rules. The partnership was over. What remained was protectionism. And that's when Tokyo made a quiet but powerful decision. They didn't fight with protests or headlines. They acted with precision. While the US shouted tariffs, Japan moved in silence. Nissan was first. Its top-selling US model, the Rogue, was partly built in Japan. And that meant trouble. Within 3 months, Nissan cut 13,000 vehicles from its production line in Kyushu. Then, they began scouting for safer places to build. Toyota, always thinking long-term, didn't flinch. Instead of pushing back, they leaned into Plan B. They ramped up production in Thailand, dodging US tariffs completely. But this wasn't a panic move. It was a strategy they'd built years ago. Since 2018, Japanese companies had been watching the signs, the rise of trade wars, the cracks in global stability. They knew things could shift overnight, so they prepared, quietly, carefully, and when the moment came, they flipped the switch. This wasn't just a reaction to tariffs, it was a deeper shift, a realization that the US could no longer be trusted as a reliable economic partner. So Japan looked elsewhere. Southeast Asia became the new frontier. Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia. These weren't just cheaper labor markets. They offered something even more valuable: stability. Billions of dollars began flowing out of the US and into new factories abroad. Thailand's Eastern Economic Corridor became a magnet for investment. Mazda dropped $150 million into a new EV facility. Toyota expanded its footprint across 5 nations, spreading the risk. But the boldest move came quietly. Toyota signed a $2 billion deal with China, a new electric vehicle plant, in Shanghai. It wasn't just a business deal, it was a message. Japan was rewriting its future, and the US was no longer at the center of it. Because this isn't just about cars, it's about trust, it's about power, and both are shifting, fast. As Japan pulled away from the United States, it didn't isolate itself. It reached out, eastward. Trade ties with India deepened. Southeast Asia became a priority, and Japan began leaning more into the CPTPP, a major trade pact the US once led, but later walked away from. And while Washington stumbled, China stepped in, quickly, quietly, strategically. Beijing saw an opening and wasted no time. It offered Japan better trade terms, faster project approvals, and sweetened the pot with joint ventures in electric vehicle research. For Japan, the contrast was stark. While America was slapping tariffs, China was rolling out the red carpet. Behind closed doors, the global balance of power was shifting. What started as a single decision in Washington now risked driving America's oldest ally into the arms of its biggest rival. So now the question hangs in the air. Will Japan fully turn toward the East and never look back? Will the US realize what it's lost and act before the damage becomes permanent? Or are we witnessing the quiet beginning of a global economic divorce? Japanese companies didn't respond with noise. There were no press conferences, no lawsuits, just action, calm, calculated, and deliberate. And that was only the start. As factories, supply chains, and investment dollars began leaving US soil, the rest of the world took notice. So did China. While America tried to protect its own auto industry with walls and rules, China opened doors. It offered land deals, shared EV technology, a promise. No surprises here, just business. Toyota, Nissan, Honda. They didn't rush. They remembered the risks of working with China. But with the US turning inward and allies feeling the chill, they had to look elsewhere. And China wasn't the only one calling. Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia. Each offered something the US no longer could: stability. Japanese firms didn't want to depend on any single country anymore. Not the US, not even China. So they created a new strategy: spread out the risk, diversify the future, build backup plans for everything. And that changed everything. Thailand emerged as a clear winner. Its government launched the Eastern Economic Corridor, a megazone designed for next-gen industries: cars, batteries, electronics. Japanese companies already had a strong presence there, but now they were doubling down. Mazda, Toyota, Honda, all expanded. New EV plants, research hubs, electric scooter labs. The future was unfolding, but not in Detroit or Ohio, in Southeast Asia. Back in Washington, some officials began to notice. They saw the shift, the headlines, the investment leaks. But by then, it was too late. The damage wasn't just financial, it was personal. Trust had been broken. While Japan was quietly pivoting east, another major player found itself caught in the crossfire: South Korea. Hyundai and Kia were thriving in the US market. They weren't just selling cars, they were building them in America. Georgia, Alabama, and other states had become home to massive Korean factories. Hyundai was even planning a $5 billion electric vehicle plant in Georgia, a bold bet on the American future. But then came the tariffs. Japan was blindsided, and Korea took notice. If it could happen to Japan, a longtime ally with deep investments, could Korea be next? The Korean government reached out to Washington. They wanted clarity, guarantees, reassurance. They got silence. And that silence was loud. It made Korean companies nervous, very nervous. So, just like Japan, they started building a plan B. Investments in India picked up. Talks began with Indonesia. Mexico, still under the protective umbrella of NAFTA, looked like a safe bet. The message was clear. Korea wasn't going to wait for the next surprise. No one wanted to depend on the United States anymore. And while America scrambled to defend its borders, China opened its doors. Even with decades of tension between China and Japan, Business was still business, and China had what Japan and Korea wanted: stability. If you signed a deal in China, it stuck. No last-minute tariffs, no sudden political shifts, just predictability. And China had another advantage, one America couldn't match. It was years ahead in the electric vehicle game, with companies like BYD and NIO leading the charge, and with tight control over critical materials like lithium and cobalt. China had become the center of the EV universe. So when Toyota signed a $2 billion deal to build electric vehicles in Shanghai, it wasn't just another business deal. It was a quiet goodbye. No headlines, no drama, just a shift in direction, away from Washington, toward Beijing. And that's what makes this story so powerful. There were no protests, no angry speeches, no breaking news, just boardrooms, strategy, and silence. Factories didn't close overnight. They just stopped expanding. Investments didn't vanish. They simply changed addresses. And through it all, a quiet truth settled in. The world was moving on. By mid-2025, the writing was on the wall. Japanese investment in Southeast Asia had doubled. New factories were going up in Vietnam and Thailand, while India welcomed cutting-edge research centers. Meanwhile, American towns that once relied on Japanese car plants began to feel the fallout. Shift reductions, closed suppliers, and workers left in limbo. In Washington, leaders kept talking about bringing jobs home, but the reality was far different. The jobs weren't coming back. They were leaving, and not just to China, but to a new, broader network stretching across Asia and beyond. The shift didn't stop with Japan. Germany began looking east. South Korea expanded into India. Even Mexico, once America's strategic trade partner, began redirecting its focus toward Asia. The global auto industry wasn't just changing, it was realigning. And at the heart of it all was a single word: trust. Once broken, it proved difficult, if not impossible, to restore. Trade alliances that had taken decades to build were quietly unraveling, and in their place, new partnerships were forming, ones that no longer revolved around the United States. So what does the future look like? More connected, but less American. Japan is deepening ties with India, Indonesia, and Australia, pushing ahead with the CPTPP trade pact the US walked away from. China is accelerating its Belt and Road Initiative, linking economies across continents. Meanwhile, the US is becoming more isolated in the auto world. The EV factories that could have revitalized Detroit or Texas are now rising in Bangkok and Shanghai. Not because of conflict, but because of choices, tariffs, politics, and missed opportunities. A quiet break has happened. And now, the global auto industry will never be the same.